Hello, everybody, and welcome to Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this is a part of my podcast called Finding the Guardian of Your Soul. It's a special broadcast I do just with my husband and me. Once in a while, we have a special guest, but you're my special guest. So we have a wonderful topic today that was submitted by one of our listeners. So thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. And it's on how to cultivate how to cultivate a respectful relationship when you've never seen one. So this is a great topic, and we don't get to talk much about relationship stuff because the program we teach is a dating course. It was a 3-month dating course, and we've just turned it into a 6-month dating course. So the great news about making it into a 6-month course is that we will now get to do some work with women through the relationship phase, because mostly in the course, they were just starting to date in those 3 months. And we didn't get to see them through that period of meeting a guy and starting to cultivate a relationship. So that's kind of exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about today, there's really 4 elements to this, 4 parts that we'll be discussing. And the first part is this idea of, what if you've never seen a healthy relationship? Our parents didn't like each other.
Right. Most of us don't have good models of healthy relationships, whether it's in our primary family or even among our friends. It's rare to see a respectful relationship, a respectful, loving relationship.
Yeah. And our parents, yours bickered to the point where you wouldn't even have a meal with them.
I ate in my room from a young age because the bickering was just intolerable at mealtime.
Yeah. And then my parents just yelled and screamed, and my mother called my father names. And well, you laugh. It was not nice.
No, I was just thinking of some of the names.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That I've told you about. Yeah. A few Yiddish ones thrown in there for effect. Yeah, it was awful. And I didn't see a good example. I mean, talk about a disrespectful relationship. I think my father deserved a lot of my mother's animosity, but it was tough as a child because I had no way to put that in perspective. I didn't understand why she was behaving that way with my dad.
And I think part of the reason you and I had such a respectful, loving, unconditionally loving relationship for these 21 plus years is that we know what didn't work. We got to see growing up what didn't work, and that we would not want to replicate that.
Yes. And in fact, I didn't, like the yelling and screaming and name calling. I never did do that with any of my partners. I mean, I did, I made plenty of mistakes, but I'm very proud of the fact that I made a decision not to be that way. And I never, ever, ever called my partner's names and put them down in the way that I saw my mother putting my father down. I know I emasculated men in other ways through having chosen the wrong partners and feeling disappointed in them. And I'm sure I let them know that.
And that's one thing about calling names or yelling. You could never take it back.
Yeah.
You could never take it back. So even though the person who called the name may kind of let it pass, the person who received that label, it's going to hang around their neck during the relationship.
Yeah. And my mother was critical of me too. And she had plenty of negative things to say that hung around my neck.
Yeah.
for much of my life. So growing up in a family, you're in this very insulated situation. And even if you do, as a child, maybe go and spend time with your friends and see their families and all, you're still on the outside looking in. And many of our friends' parents didn't have much better relationships. We may have thought they did because they would put on a show or something if company was there, just like my parents did.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, most of us didn't have great parenting because they didn't have good parenting, and just like we didn't. And so the question becomes, do any two people who didn't have great parenting go from that to having a guardian of your soul relationship? And I do think that one thing, of course, many people go to therapy, and the goal is to look at that and make sense of it. First of all, you're working with a therapist who probably didn't have good parenting and learned everything that she learned.
Which may be why they became therapists.
Right. And they probably learned everything they learned from therapists who didn't have good parenting. It's true. I think about all the people that I looked to. I remember when I was studying with a very, very well-known teacher, and he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about just human relationships and love and all. But when it came to partnership and romantic relationships, that's when I stopped, because I realized that he was not the role model for me in that area, in that arena. I didn't see him behaving with women in a respectful way. And I decided that that was not somebody I wanted to follow, which brings me, well, first of all, I want to finish the part about therapy, babe, because you and I both did therapy. And we know that no matter how much, you can forgive your parents, the therapist can take you a certain distance. But I think the limitation, what I saw was I felt healed, I felt better, and then I went out into the world and got into another relationship and realized I hadn't learned a thing about how to actually do this in a practical sense.
Right. And something you say for your course is that information is not transformation. So people could read books, they could do therapy, they could, go to workshops and, on relationships or loving yourself. And it's not the same as getting out there and having this, and making mistakes and learning and growing together. Yeah. So I think one of the things that you're alluding to is getting, really getting out there, getting into a relationship and making choices, choosing to make choices rather than to repeating old patterns.
Well, and then it begs the question of, where do I find great role models? Because one of the most, and I'm going out on a limb here, and I am going to say that one of the things that really gets under my craw, is that the right term, that really, really bothers me, are dating and love coaches who are trying to teach people how to find loving partnerships when they themselves are single and not in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I do think that that is an issue. It's one thing to teach the dating process, which I'm fine with, but they can't teach you this. People can teach dating strategy, and we have had some coaches in our program who taught dating strategy, and they were teaching the women how to implement the dating strategies in the program. But there's a big difference between working with somebody who's teaching you how to date. If the end goal is to find true love, unconditional love, then you really need to find somebody who can be a role model for that. And the only reason in the course I was willing to do that was because we were there as the end goal.
Yeah.
We were there as the couple who had the guardian of your soul relationship, so that our clients could still get that modeling from us.
And the two coaches
Now
who,
we're in,
who are beautiful guardian of your soul relationships, and found their guys and both went through your program.
Yes.
And were so impressed that they wanted to be coaches, and they really developed that skill. I mean, they are A+ stellar.
Yeah, but I do think that coaching programs where the top person, the people who are the spearheading that particular program, if they, if you have a single woman who's teaching you how to go out and date and find love, and either she herself is not in a healthy, loving partnership and she's teaching it, the problem is that a coach or mentor can only take you as far as they've gone. And for me, that's why I left the particular person I was coaching with, as much as I loved him and got so much value out of the community and all. When it came to partnership, he didn't model what I was seeking. And so I had to go out on my own and figure out a different way. I didn't see anyone, I didn't know a soul who had this kind of relationship. And my dream, my vision for what I wanted was so powerful. It was so strong inside of me. And I felt convicted in myself that I was showing up or aspiring. I was working, my dating process was all about using that journey and that process to really look at myself. And that's one of the things about this 6-month program that I'm so excited about, because even though the focus of the program is about finding the guardian of your soul, the journey within those 6 months is the spiritual journey, the transformational journey. And when I talk about spiritual, I'm not necessarily speaking of God or even spirit. If you want to call it spirit, it's only surrendering to the unknown forces of the universe, right? Being able to co-create with the fact that we don't know, or I don't know why I'm here, where I'm going when I leave this place. But I do know that there are forces that are acting upon me from the outside, external factors that I have to coexist with, like the aging process, Anyway, I know I'm getting off topic, but what I'm saying is, going back to the 6-month course, it is a dating, and seeking unconditional love is nothing if not a spiritual and transformational process and journey. And so that was how I approached my dating, so that I could attract a man like you.
And part of the program involves not settling for what we've settled in the past. And what we've settled for the past often has led to being with people that we lack respect for.
Yes.
And so, to really clarify what we've settled for in the past, and to clarify what we're never going to settle for again. So the key is, for a respectful relationship, one of the keys is finding a partner who you respect and that there's mutual respect.
Well, and I wasn't just looking for somebody that I felt I respected. It was somebody I respected who he had made himself into, and not somebody who had potential.
Mhm.
So there's there's something about being with somebody, especially when you're younger and you're in that state of, you're becoming who you are. But what I realized was it was all about those core principles, right? Who that man is, what the guiding principles that he holds to be true. And when I met you, I just had never met a more ethical human being who showed up at such a beautiful, consistently across the board, humble, kind, caring, generous, uh, intelligent, organized. I admire and respect how organized you are in every aspect of your life, your thinking, your mind, your thoughts, your clarity. But I wasn't in a rush. I told myself it could take some time to find a man that I can respect at that level, and who will see me.
Mm.
There has to be that alignment. And so I think so many people are so anxious and so, quick. They just want to fill the void. They want to get off the dating apps. They don't want to have to be in that process of looking. But it's not just a process of finding your partner, it's finding yourself and then drawing that partner to you.
Right. Right. So many people spend less thought on finding their partner than they do in buying a refrigerator.
Yeah, or a car.
Yeah, they may research it. It may a week or a month to find just the right one.
Can
But
you say that again, honey?
well, that people often have so little thought of the partner they wind up with. Sometimes it's just by chance, sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's just someone saying yes or being interested in the other person. And it precludes really the examination of what is the essence, what is the matrix of this person, what is their moral compass, what are their core values. And sometimes that gets so overlaid with just hormones jumping into sexual intimacy too quickly.
Yeah.
So all of that gets blinded. And so, um, as I say, we could spend 3 months trying to find the right car, and doing specs and asking and test driving and all that. And for something that's the most important thing in our lives, the most important, that we can spend so little time or leave it to chance or hopefully that something will happen and we'll leave it to chance that it will happen. So um, what I find in your course is there is a grounding. There is a grounding where we really help each person in there along every step of the way, where they don't get ahead of themselves, but they don't leave themselves behind.
Yeah. And I really, somebody here said, I don't even want to spend money on the sites because it's so unsuccessful. And Kim, you know, if you're being unsuccessful because you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing and how to do this right, then you will waste money and you'll waste time and you'll burn yourself out. Because one of the things that I realized, and it was a sobering conversation I had with myself, was that it was naive of me to think that there weren't great men out there. I mean, that was one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. There's no good men. They're not responsible, whatever. That is such a lie. The truth was that there are amazing men, and I needed to learn how to show up in the right way to attract the attention. Are there millions of men like you out there? Absolutely not. But there are men like you. And I had to up level my game for you to find me attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I do for your program is that I write the women's profiles.
Yeah.
And the goal of writing a profile is not only to say who someone is, but also to say who they're not and what they want, but also bravely say what they don't want, even if it means, maybe not connecting with, the most handsome guy on the planet. The way that I write the profiles isn't to cast a wide net to attract everyone, like 98% of the people, but it's to discourage 98% of the people and attract the 2% so that people don't get burned out on dating. And, and they just say, I'm so tired of these guys contacting me or, that, that, I have no interest in. So the goal of the profiles is really to filter out as many as we can. Of course, some will still get through,
Yeah.
but to attract when someone reads a profile like that,
Yes.
a good man will light up and say, wow, I've never read a profile like that. I've never met, I would love to meet a woman like that.
And I really want to, there's something important to get here about profiles. So, just like women say, oh, there's no good men and all men are whatever. No, not all men are whatever. And not all men don't read the profiles and just look at the pictures. I mean, are men visual? Absolutely. But do some men, smart men, the kind of men you really want to date, they read the profiles. And the thing about the profiles, Benjamin writes, look, we have to stop being naive and lying to ourselves because there are brilliant writers. There are writers who are gifted. We remember the Hemingways, the Fitzgeralds, the Dostoevskys, whoever, because these people, the Jane Austen, throw some women in there. But we remember these brilliant writers because they were gifted. And Benjamin is a gifted writer. He knows how to write and he knows how to speak to the hearts and the souls of the men like him. And the reason those profiles are so powerful is because men like him read them and they respond and it calls out to them. So don't keep lying to yourself. Don't keep buying into these ridiculous lies that people say, because look, I was online for over 2 years. I went on 96 first dates until I found a man like Benjamin. But I wasn't naive or telling myself it was going to be easy. And I wasn't saying to myself, oh, I'm ready. Where is he? No, I figured I've got a lot to learn. And the woman I was when I first started dating and the woman I became by the time I met Benjamin was night and day. In fact, I met a guy that I really, really, really liked. And he went on 2 dates with me and then he called me. He actually called me. He was a good enough guy. He became a therapist. And he called me up and he said, on our first date, I thought, wow, there's so much potential here. And then on our second date, I thought, oh, wow, she's still got a lot of work to do. And he told me that. And this was at the beginning of my dating. And then he was going to a school, USM,
Right.
and I thought, wow, okay, I really like this guy. And if I want to meet men like him and I want to do this work that he says I need to do, I'm going to go to that school. And so I got my master's degree at USM, University of Santa Monica, and I didn't meet a guy in the course, but I met the guy that wrote one of the books for the course, which was Handbook for the Heart. Benjamin wrote it, and I read it about a month and a half coincidentally before our first date. So,
Right.
yeah, but you have to find, back to our point, great role models. So you need to get on podcasts like this, listen to the coaches, hear if you resonate with their message, but find people who you believe have what you want. When you go into a 12-step program and you're trying to get recovery, the first thing they tell you is to find a sponsor who has what you want. So when you choose a sponsor, you're listening for somebody who has the kind of recovery that you respect and admire, and you want to choose, you want to model yourself after that person. So you ask that person if they will sponsor you so you can learn from somebody who you feel has what you want. And that's exactly what you want to do here.
Yeah.
In fact, I chose somebody who had what I wanted, which was you.
And you, me. I think we both wound up being together because of mutual respect first. And if someone jumps into a relationship too quickly without the foundation of shared experiences and trust and safety and friendship, then one really doesn't have an idea. One's already in the relationship without really having that sense of the essence of the person, how they handle themselves in life. Is this someone who I would aspire to be like, or they have qualities that I would aspire towards? So in the program, you urge your clients and you guide them to go slowly, to break old habits of, not jumping in so quickly and sealing the deal, and then missing all the steps that should lead to that, where intimacy should be a natural progression.
Yeah. And the other, again, one of the things that the women in the course tell us all the time is thank you for being such great examples,
Right.
because I've never seen a healthy, respectful, loving relationship. And it was really inspiring and and enlightening to see the two of you together, because I now have a living example, a living model of what I want in my relationship. Honey, Paul says it seems that a lot of women are tainted from past relationships, and when a good man does come along, they can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's true. There's a lot of wounding and a lot of pain that people have to overcome. But the goal of the course is really to see when a man is a good man, and how to be with that person and how to show up. And from there, the relationships build from the ground up. But there are good men out there. And the tragedy is that when um, when there has been terribly past relationships, that um, that it can interfere, but it could also be a plus, that when people have had terrible relationships, and both of us come from, having a bad relationship, that we've learned from it, and we know that we don't want to replicate it, and we know the type of partner we're seeking. So sometimes a bad relationship or bad relationships in the past can actually be a guide to a good relationship in the present.
Yes. And one of the hardest things, it goes both ways, Paul, that there is so much romantic illusion, so many fairy tales, and so much mythology around how a romantic relationship should happen, that so many people want skyrockets and intense chemistry from the moment they meet. And we teach our clients to slow down, to take it slowly, to give a good man a chance and allow those feelings of respect. See, real respect doesn't come from an instant spark. It comes from when I met Benjamin, I saw this incredible kindness in his eyes when the very first moment I looked in his eyes. But then over the next, months, over the next few months, I developed this incredible respect for who he is. We went to our second date was when we went to
A charity event.
the shamans.
Uh-huh.
And I watched Benjamin. I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie Broadcast News where Holly Hunter goes to a big event and she's gets there early and she's meeting William Hurt and she's up above looking down and she sees him come in and she's just watching him, how he moves through a room and how he carries himself. And that's how I was with Benjamin. I was watching him at this event, saying hello to people and, just how he moved through a room and how he watched out for me and how I didn't know anyone there, and he took my hand and he led me and said, let's go get it. Let's go get a drink and let's get some food. But he was leading me and I just had so much respect for who he was and how I could just see how he was taking care of me, even on that second date. It was lovely. And I could see that he was proud to introduce me to people. And it just, I was so proud to be with him. So you have to slow down. There's no magic moment. You're not going to rush into something. It's the worst possible way to have a respectful relationship. First, you build, that respect for somebody, and that's the foundation the relationship stands on. So choosing a partner that you slowing down and choosing a partner that you respect is the third thing. And then the last thing, and one of the most beautiful things of all, is our communication and the way we talk to each other. And I know that we're broadcasting right now. And, you may think, oh, well, this is how, they're broadcasting and this is how they look, when they're forward facing to the public. But this is how we are, except that we just are a little funnier,
Right.
and a little bit more. We're just incredibly playful. And
I think that when one of us slips up, one of us will say, "Could you say that differently?" And then we'll laugh because we'll catch ourselves.
yeah, but one of the things that I know is because you can't fake this. You just can't fake it. I respect this man. I could never, ever, ever nag him, mother him, talk down to him, try to micromanage him. Those things adopting those tones would feel so disrespectful, so disrespectful. And I never say an unkind word about you, either to you or to another person. I really honor and respect you in the way that I speak about you and to you.
And our respect has grown. I mean, my respect for you, it started out respectful, but it has grown so much. I mean, I see you get up at 4 in the morning or no later than 5, and you're at the computer and you're working. And there have been times where I've fallen ill, for periods of time, and you've picked up the slack. I mean, you've really carried it. And watching you do that, I had so much respect and love.
Aw.
And we've done it for each other. What we promote in the course is finding the guardian of your soul. And the guardian of your soul is being able to see each other's soul even more clearly than we can see it ourselves. And we could even see that soul's journey even more than we can feel it in ourselves. And we foster that journey wherever it takes. And even if two people aren't growing in a parallel way, if they both support each other's soul's journey, it is closer than just, having similarities. Um, you know, it is a magical, magical relationship filled with respect, with love, with dignity, with fun, playfulness, all of that.
And love, just incredible amounts of love. One thing I really want to share with everybody is that we have so many ideas. The brain, as Werner Erhard said, we are meaning-making machines. And we want to try to figure this out. And the hardest thing about finding a guardian of your soul and creating a truly respectful relationship is that you can't know who this person is going to be. We think we can figure it out. We think we know what we're looking for. We write down lists on pieces of paper and all. And what we have seen, what I've seen over these last 20 plus years, is that our clients wind up with very different people than they thought they would. Very different people. They may think they want a world-changing influencer, CEO, whatever, and they wind up, with somebody very, very, very different.
Who they are madly in love with.
And not only are they madly in love, but suddenly their priorities change and what they're looking for changes, and how they want to live their life completely morphs as a result of it, because they never knew the importance and the value. They sensed it, which is why they sought it. But until you find this person and you really are co-creating this, a life and love and all together, it's absolutely outside of anything you could prepare for. It's completely different. I mean, our lives are unrecognizable. The choices we've made along the way to be together and create this life. Who would have ever thought we would wind up in Santa Fe in a pandemic? Let's look at some comments before we go, babe, because there's quite a few. So I tell myself, Kim says, I tell myself all the time, that lie all the time. No one gets rid of a good one. And she's talking about the lie that there aren't, good men out there. Well, they do, because good men get into bad relationships. And that's how they learn. Benjamin and I have both been in relationships with people who helped us learn what we did and didn't want. That's how we got here. So we left those people. And actually, Benjamin was online. He was, I was the third person he went out with. But he was not long out of a 2-year relationship, babe. So they do get out there. Nancy says it's difficult for we Africans to find real love here. Nancy, we have lots of African clients, lots and lots and lots of African clients who actually do extremely well in our course. And in fact, the more challenging it is, the more you need a program and need guides like us to break some of those cultural patterns and to break out of that cultural history. But you can do it. And we have many, many, many people who have. All right. All right, everybody. Well, that brings us to the end. And this has been Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. I want to just share that we have a 5-day masterclass coming up, or I have a 5-day masterclass. Yep, I have a 5-day masterclass coming up, and it's called How to Land a Man on Your Level. How exciting does that sound? I am going to put the link in this right here, so any of you can sign up for it if you'd like to. It starts February 5th. And it goes the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So please sign up for this. And even if you can't make it at the scheduled time, if you're on the list, we will send you all the replays. The great news about this masterclass is that I will be giving away some of my best trade secrets. You are going to learn more in these 5 days about how to land a man on your level than you ever thought possible. So click that link, sign up now. We can't wait to see you there. And also catch my other broadcast, Finding the Guardian of Your Soul. And come back and see us again. Tell everyone you know, your sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and mother and father, your girlfriends, your guy friends, your colleagues, anyone and everyone you know. Even some of my clients tell their therapists, who are very supportive of our broadcast. So please spread the word. We would be grateful to you. And finally, send us your suggestions for future topics to podcast@lisashield.com. This topic came from one of our listeners, and it seems like many of you liked it. We love those thumbs up, those hearts. So please let us know you like this topic so that we can bring you more. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and never give up on men or finding a guardian of your soul. Bye-bye, and thank you.